Lydia, advantage queen with her reputation preceding her. She made it an early target, but couldn't find an advantage fast enough to stay safe. But such a worthy challenge in those first few rounds.
Quite a fiery exit as well.
Yeah. Thanks for that.
Thank you for that, Lydia, honestly.
Yeah.
Maddie,
Danny.
go ahead.
It wasn't me, I promise. But it did end up being the best thing in our game. I really, really look back on it. And if you had stayed, me and Simmons would not be potentially as close as we are today. I think it gave us a really tight direction and stuck with it. And you were part of the beginning because you started the chat between me, you, Simmons that said final three.
You started this, Corey. I will admit, I firmly believe you were the reason that I exited my tribe. So you are the cause of it. You started this fire that led me to these wonderful individuals on the other side. So as much as your intentions were to get me out, you are the reason I am here. So in the weird, twisted way, you bastard, thank you. Thank you.
Oh, Sarah, I didn't want you to go because I thought that you were a great person, a good ally. You were fun to talk to, but just didn't end up working out with the way that our tribe was on the swap. But great person, would have loved to work with you. You know, we play any other game together, it probably does work out, but unfortunately, this was the one it didn't.
Sarah, even though everyone kind of maybe thought we did meet up at that concert one time and we were lying about it, we didn't. And I feel like if we had, we would have kicked it off because we definitely kicked it off in this game. The conversations I had with you were the easiest conversations besides Simmons. Sorry, Simmons, of course. And I did not write your name down because that wasn't my game. I was pulling hard for you to stay, but it just didn't work out yet.
Oh, this one sucks. Jeremy, I firmly admit I did not think you were going to be one of the first individuals on that tribe out. I know from the very beginning that you and I had talks with Lex at trying to make something happen. You're a friend to me in this game, outside of this game, and I promise that I will do better at Jeremy's challenge next time, though I did win it at one point. So I wish I could prove to you better. You are a wonderful human being, a wonderful friend. Was just sad to really see you exit early. So hopefully we can make that not happen at another game.
Mike, let me talk to Mike.
Oh.
Mike, you were trying to play a game of loyalty with me. I know you shared everything with me because you truly, truly, truly wanted to play with me. I 100% get it. But I was already loyal to someone else. And I know it looked like I was playing chaotically, but that's just the way it folded. And so I truly believe that's where your game was, and no mistake there. And in a different world, different mashup, we may have been together through it. But yeah, I just had a stronger relationship with Simmons.
Mike, dude, you came up to me that very first call we had, and you said, Simmons, yo, like 100%, like we're good, bro. Like don't have to say anything. And I was like, cool, great, this is awesome. And then everything was good until the swap. Started to get a little bit anxious. You wanted to make the merge, get back to your other friends on the other side with like Kylie, and kind of just you got caught. Would love to get a beer with you sometime though. That offer's still on the table.
Exactly. Mike, you are a bro. I love you as any person would. You are a loyal, you are a very understanding player. I'm very happy that you weren't too upset about the whole circumstances of how the cards fell. You and my friend have a date with me with a beer sometime because we need to seriously catch up. Thank you for playing. You are awesome.
Brittley was, in my eyes, going to be my Lily of Exile Island here at All Stars. She was the sweetest person, extremely nice. seemed loyal and someone I wanted to work with. I did not feel good about the way that the vote went when I went against her and kind of broke that relationship. But I don't think if I wouldn't have done that, it probably wouldn't be here, or at least had the tight relationships that I ended up having. So incredible person, great at the game, nothing but love.
Brittley and I connected right away on the first tribe. She was part of my other 3 that I was working with to help make sure that we had a bit of a majority in that first tribe. And so when you got swapped over to the other tribe and made it through the first round, I was pulling for you hard and hoping you'd be there so we could reconnect, because I think we would have gone far and you would have come along as well.
Lex, you were one of the first individuals I talked to on our original tribe with myself and Jeremy. We wanted to get something going. That conversation we had that night was probably one of the funnest conversations I've ever had, of just getting to know somebody, what they do, how they are, what makes them tick. You are an incredible person. Unfortunately, I was thinking of the game. And again, you can't think with your heart on a lot of these decisions. You got to think with your brain. And yes, whether it was you or Kylie, I had to make a decision. And I knew that you are a membrane that needed to be snuffed out. But my friend, I would love to play this with you again. You are incredible, a wonderful bowl of happiness that I will always appreciate through so much time. So thank you. Old fashioned. Let me talk to you. Yeah. Shea, we had 2 distinct conversations, one about NFL and one about wrestling. I appreciate all the form and format of everything that you did. Yes, I had to stab you in the back, unfortunately, but like, I don't think our paths would ever have crossed well together. You and I said from the beginning that we were just going to create chaos. It's very good at the beginning, but if you put too much fire on a hot grill early in the morning, events will happen. Stuff will burn, and that's exactly what happened. So I hope that the quote unquote people's elbow of that penmanship was not a heart for you, good sir. I love you and respect your game, and I hope to see you in this again. So thank you.
Ashley, of all the people that I chatted to heading into Merge, you were at the top of my list in FUMO to be able to work with. I just felt like our conversation was just so genuine and authentic. It felt like we put game aside and just really got to know each other. And I really appreciated it in that moment when a lot of people were scrambling and moving around, that we could just hold space for each other and connect. And so look forward to seeing you sometime. Know that we live in not so far away places, and really, really, really glad to have met you.
Kylie, you're an absolutely incredible player. And I think you put that on display at the merge when you and Lex were going at it. You talked in circles around everybody. Unbelievable to watch and be a part of. I felt that we had a good conversation and many times tried to work things out, but you were too good of a player to hang on to, and nothing but respect. Garsow, holy hell. Most underrated player of the season, in my opinion. I said it a couple times. I think the dude can play. He can socialize a little bit, and he can definitely do well in the challenges. So I think he was kind of slept on a little bit, but in my opinion, very good player. Andrew, collateral damage, buddy. Holy hell. I wish it didn't go the way that it did. That's not the way I think any of us 3 wanted it to go. So I feel for you. Much love. You know, I'm here for you, bud. So disappointed that that's the way it happened.
As one of the individuals that I have had the pleasure of meeting in person outside of this game, Andrew, you are such a wonderful person when it comes to the aspect of Survivor, and you find some new ways of all the time to be eliminated. I mean, you literally were playing a game while we were eating dinner with you at Applebee's and got voted out. And you just find these scenarios, man. The knife would have eventually come for you in your back, so I do apologize, but no one deserves to be voted out that way. My heart felt for you, because I know of all the people, you keep coming back to these things and you keep pushing And I want you to keep pushing, my friend, because you are amazing. Thank you.
Karen, only winner back on the season. I think it was day one. I sent Andrew a message and I said, Karen's got to go. And you went, but way later than I expected. You're unbelievable. Your social game's great. You're good at challenges. Just overall, a breath of fresh air. Kind of came at each other there at the end, but it was all respect and love. You're an amazing player.
This one I think hurts most of all. Not that anyone would not be aware, but I was kind of on the voting received of sending Zucker out of Exile Island that rocked everybody's game. And I told him from the very beginning, I didn't want that to happen again. I wanted us to come forward and work together. I just had a feeling that somehow it wouldn't have worked. And I've already made previous relationships between Simmons and Maddie that I could not abandon that. So I'm sorry once again, my friend. I know that you mean well, and I know that you'll finally be able to sit down with your wife and enjoy yourself, because these games take way too long, man. I completely understand. So thank you. This is amazing.
We will now bring in our jury: Lex, Shea, Ashley, Kylie, Garsow, Andrew, Karen, and Zucker voted out at the last tribal council.
10 days ago, 18 of you began a journey with the same goal in mind: to earn the title of sole survivor and be crowned the winner of DCP's All-Star season. Austin, Maddie, and Simmons, you have made it to where 15 others could not. And now you will be explaining your case as to why you deserve the title of sole survivor and the prize money and pride that go with it.
I think you can all attest that this game is hard, and rightfully so. The hardest step is saved for last. In a game of social relationships, challenges, and strategy, how can you vote people out at the end and in turn get them to vote for you?
Each of you, the 3 finalists, will have 5 minutes to give an opening statement. Then the jury will have a chance to address the final 3 however they would like. Each juror will have 10 minutes. I will hold up a card that says 5 minutes, 2 minutes, and 1 minute to let you know how much time you have left. After the jury has addressed everyone, we will vote. For our opening statements, we will go in alphabetical order, which means Austin, you are up first. Your time begins now.
First of all, playing with all of you was an amazing experience. Thank you to you as on the jury. Thank you to production, and thank you to the hosts. You all were freaking amazing, and I loved working with each and every one of you. Going into this, I said in my very beginning thing with Alex that I was not going to play nice this game. I played nice in past games, and it has come back to bite me in every retrospective that I can possibly think of. For the mini, it's no secret that I came in 3rd place. For the long game, I thought we had something. And in fact, the person sitting next to me was the one that ushered me out. So in Simmons. So I said from the very beginning that I was not going to lie down. I was going to make relationships, and I was going to break relationships. And I'm hoping all of you are able to understand that. All of you sitting here have some portion that maybe I don't deserve to be here, or maybe they do. For retrospective, I have seen 4 exact episodes of Survivor. That's it. It has not changed. And I feel like having that means something. As someone who doesn't understand the game, who can read socially, it means well that I am sitting here at this motion. For the 3 of us sitting here, I want to make a notion that I was the one who threw out most of the names every single time. It happened, okay? From the moment that Lex got sent off, I said, Shea, unfortunately. And then everyone was like, well, what do we do? I threw Kylie's name out. Okay. I threw Ashley's name out. I threw Garza's. I threw basically everyone here except Andrew, which had the unprecedented opportunity of being sent home. Okay. So I know you take that as you will, but it means that when someone who had a potent challenge advantage of winning challenges, I won a challenge with bad lungs blowing up a balloon. I won a challenge with a bad shoulder holding up cups on ping pong balls. I, in my retrospective, believe that I deserve to be here. I have fought too long and I have fought too hard. And I'm hoping everyone can understand that. I really do. The relationships I made here, I want to continue making with them. You all have been amazing people that I've gotten to know. And for some of them in and out of this game, for some of them, I need to get to know all of you. I hope you understand. 2 minutes left. Thank you. For this, I hope you realize that I was not just what other people believed I was going to be, a vote to use, a snake in the grass waiting to strike. I knew where most of the votes were going. I sent them that way in hopes that I would be here today in this room with all of you. So I'm really looking forward to understanding and answering your questions. I know you must have a lot. I love you all. Thank you for your time.
Up next is Maddie. Your time begins now.
All right. Well, here we are, the not so secret Final Three Alliance. So excited to see all of you here. And I think you have a really fascinating job to do, because your job is to distinguish who differentiated themselves in a really interwoven 3-person alliance, and then ask yourself, which of our games had the biggest impact on all 3 of us getting here? And I know that my game wasn't in the limelight because I am not a challenge beast. That means I have a lot of to prove and a lot of ground to cover, so buckle up. My strategy coming in was to use this unique blend of mini and long games to my advantage. It's no secret that I am an absolute noob who had only played 3 rounds of Sahara Dunes season before this. But luckily for me, that experience told me everything that I needed to know. I knew that once we got to the mini format, it would be lightning fast, which is not my strength. But unlike the people sitting beside me, I also had no real pre-existing relationships to fall back on. That means that I needed an alliance that was in lockstep, one that we could jump into a room, say a name, and stick with it before the mini. And I had 2 distinct portions of my game that I played differently, but one common theme: loyalty. 1, a pre-merge game where I worked it to demonstrate unwavering trust and cut off my 2 guys from trusting anybody else. 2, a post-merge game where my sole mission was to stay strong to them while still putting in the work to make sure that if something fell apart, the people in the top 6 would still take me to the end. Let me tell you more, starting with pre-merge. We may have been a 3, but Simmons and I were tight from day one. I spent hours and hours and piles of playfulness to build a genuine relationship with Simmons. I wanted him to feel like our chats were a breath of fresh air and a safe zone, but friendship is not enough, and I knew that. I needed loyalty. So I started by sharing info about the advantages and then demonstrated that I was willing to sacrifice other relationships in favor of him. The first was Sarah at the swap. We had a small connection through my brother, and I exploited it. I was the reason she stayed out of the high rollers room. There was no low rollers room in our tribe. It was me. I convinced her that the boys had just toasted me in the Danny vote, and she believed it, and then we voted her out. The second was Mike. I knew Mike and Simmons were tight, which many of you also knew. There were other boys' chats that I was excluded from, and that was a problem. What I managed to keep, the one secret from Simmons, was how tight Mike and I were. To protect our alliance post-merge, I told you all in the jury that Mike dug his own grave, but I want you to know that I dug his grave very intentionally. I had built enough trust with him for him to want to work with me. That led him to telling me things about Simmons and Austin that benefited his game at the expense of mine. So I decided to vote him out to solidify my own life in this game. I shared everything with Simmons and Mike, and that opened the door to our 3, me, Simmons, Austin. I truly believe these 2 stood more of a chance with me. We'd be an almost secret 3 versus a boys club that already had fractures, especially as you all had seen those last 2 tribals, and I played it up. Simmons, I truly believed it, but Austin wasn't quite there yet. So Simmons and I went into action. Simmons told Austin I had an idol, even though I knew it didn't. It wore him down, but not enough. But my idea was the final blow that Simmons executed. I knew Austin wanted to come into the merge with solidarity, so I convinced Simmons that we needed to be completely transparent about our relationship with him. Mike's lies were now no match for my truth. That brought us into the merge. Post-merge game was simple and all about two things. First, continuing to downplay the boys' relationship with me while not committing to anyone else in the tribe. That's a tough line to walk. The second was building relationships with anyone and everyone who would spend time with me so that when we got to that final six, if things fell apart, I'd be in a good position. The other thing I used my combos to do for me in the merge, the first few exits dealt with themselves. Lex, Shea, Ashley didn't need my nudge. But then as the day went on, I needed to be more vocal. Austin, you know, I said, don't say a name. I want to say Garsow. And I also said Kylie. And I threw them out without hesitation. And then there we were, the final six, the composition of which meant that I still had options in the game. And now here we are. If there's anything that I want you to take away from my game, it's this. I played intentionally, start from finish, wielding my social skills to sort through a stacked field of all-stars. I wasn't the underdog, but rather a part of a three-person co-pilot situation where we all played our part really well. But if I had to choose, I'd say that I just out-edged this dynamic duo, and I hope you see that too.
Thank you, Maddie, with 8 seconds to spare. All right, Simmons, with the final opening statement.
Yeah, there's a lot to unpack there in both of what Austin and Madeline both went in detail with. Obviously, Madeline has rehearsed this many times and had a plan set to throw Austin and I a little bit more under the bus, but that's okay. I think the big portion of the game that she left out was the fact that I decided to jump ship and vote out Danny, who was her perceived number one, to get her closer to me. Without Danny, she had no one else to go to but me. So take with that what you will. I think that very early on in the game, I built trust with her and she built trust with me, but ultimately taking away her duo to move her closer to me ultimately propelled me further in this game. When Austin was voted out of his tribe and came to our tribe, him and I made an immediate final two. Look where we're at. A couple of days later, Madeline and I made an immediate final two. Look where we're at. It's no surprise to you guys that I was a perceived threat coming into this game. If you did any kind of research, you know I did well in challenges on my season. I finished third on my season. And a lot of people think that if I made the finals, I would have won. I think if you do your homework, you would have seen that. And having that target on my back, I aligned myself with someone early on like Karen, who also had a target on her back. I built a relationship early pre-merge so that when we got to the merge after the swap, I had someone I could talk to as someone who else was a threat in this game. And I don't think it's also a surprise that I knew, obviously, at the merge, my name was out there. And I think it's flown under the radar how good of a social game I did play. I was good with the people I was in close with, and I used that to my advantage. I think there's a reason why the last two votes of this season before went to myself and to myself from Karen and from Zucker. They both didn't think that they could beat me in the finals. They didn't want me in the finals. They tried to sell that I shouldn't be in the finals because I can win. I think that goes to show how good of a game that I did play. Quickly going back to pre-merge, Madeline talked a lot about the Mike vote. Mike came to me on day one and said, yo, Simmons, like, I'm good with you 100%. We're the same. I watched your season. I want to work together. Let's do this. So when Mike says that him and Madeline were very close, they might have been, but Mike and I were also very close. And I know that I had to do a little bit more to get Austin to vote out Mike than I would have had to do for Maddie. Us three, Mike, and Austin were willing to vote out Maddie, but I knew for my game going into the merge, I needed someone like Maddie, to her point, who is a better social player than Mike. Mike had pre-existing relationships on the other side with Kylie. I know he's talked with Shea. And he told me that. Mike told me he had relationships that would help me on the other side. Knowing what kind of player Mike was, I knew that it would not be advantageous for me to go with him to the merge and he would jump ship and I'd get voted out. I think that if you look past some of the pre-existing relationships and some of the relationships you guys made during this game with the other two people next to me, I hope your vote goes to the person you think played the best game. I think I outplayed. I won the most immunity challenges. I think I outlasted. I'm sitting here and, at the end of the day, I think I outwitted by, using a lot of the social aspects to my advantage that I knew and a lot of people didn't. So again, I can't wait to answer your guys' questions. It was a blast playing with you guys. I even said to my fiance, I said, damn, these people are playing hard as hell. Like, everyone here is an amazing player. I'm just happy to be here and have a chance to explain to you guys any questions you may have.
Well, now they have been quiet long enough. It is time for the jury to have their moment in the spotlight. So going first, as always, the Mayor Ponderosa himself. Lex, you got 10 minutes. Your time starts now.
Thank you, Alex Trias. I really appreciate it. Congratulations, Austin. Congratulations, Mike Simmons. Congratulations, Maddie. The three of you did what 15 could not. Out of respect for the 7 pre-jury members and the 8 members on the jury, we all know that this game is all about outwit, outplay, and outlast. But this time around, the jury has a rubric. Each of us have an essential pillar of this game. But this game is not just like any game. This game is all-stars. Prove it. You need to not only show your game, your moves you made, but truly show and demonstrate what it means to exemplify in all-stars. We each have our own pillar to this game, something that we value really highly in this game. This game is gonna be tough, especially for 3 of you. It's no secret. It's gonna be an uphill battle for each of you to win this game. You need to fight more than ever. And to be honest, this kind of fight that we're seeing now, finally, where has it been all game? This merge has been pretty predictable. So if you want to have the spot and the name and the title of Sole Survivor, you need to prove that. For my pillar, I value so much in this game about self-reflection. Being able to assess not only the perceptions of you, but of the perceptions that your competitors have as well. Maneuvering through a game filled with different personalities, a game filled with lies, deception, and a cast of this caliber, being self-aware is what truly helps you get to the end, in my opinion. For my vote, we're going to play a little bit of a game because I missed out on playing all the challenges of this merge. So the rules of this game are very simple. I need each of you right now to sit back and close your eyes, please. I'm going to trust that your eyes are closing, and we're going to begin this game. I'm going to go through each member of the jury, and I want you to confidently, not humbly, no bullshit, raise your hand if you think this juror member I say is going to vote your name tonight. We'll begin with the Mayor of Ponderosa himself, Big Lex. If you think I'm going to vote for you, raise your hand with confidence. Okay, hands down. Mr. Shea, the sneaky snake of Shea, who is going to get Shea's vote? Thank you, hands down. Miss Ashley, the popular girl that we all wish we could aspire to be, the lovely, incredible Ashley. Thank you, hands down. The mama of the group, Mama K, Kiley Kelley. If you think Kylie is going to vote for you, raise your hand with confidence. Hands down. Mr. Garsow, the true MVP of this season, the underdog. If he's going to vote for you, raise your hand, please. Interesting. Hands down. How about Andrew, the person who truly had a phenomenal game in this merge, the most well-insulated player, voted out with absolutely no votes? Who's getting his vote tonight? Is it you? We'll find out, hands down. How about the queen, the one who sat on her throne and controlled this game, who should be in the final 3, but you did something right in this game. Who's going to get Karen tonight? Who's getting her vote? Interesting. Hands down. And of course, our final 4, Mr. Zucker, Dr. Z, the silent but deadly, who is getting Dr. Z's vote tonight. Hands down. You can open your eyes now. I really hope that in this time that you take time to answer the questions that we each have. My vote, as well as my 7 other juror members, is completely open. We all maybe think that you play a very similar game. It's going to depend on what you show us tonight. Be honest, be blunt, and show us a fight. Because to be really frank and honest with you all, we haven't seen much of a fight. And I want you to show that you're not only an all-star, but the sole survivor of an all-star season. That's all I have for you. Good luck.
We have our next juror up, Mr. Shea. What do you got for us?
First and foremost, of course, congratulations. I guess I first wish you to just take a second, breathe it in. You did this. Be proud, right? Like we're gonna have a lot of questions. I know it's gonna be difficult, but you guys made it there, right? That none of us could do it. Next up, I want to thank everyone who played, of course. Thank you, production. Thank you to the jury. This game meant a ton to me. I met absolutely wonderful people. I made connections that I know are turning into real friendships. Some very difficult, very personal conversations sometimes, which I know are going to have some immensely positive and long-lasting effects on my life. I mean, you can hear me right now just being emotional talking about it. So I have a ton of respect for this game. I have a ton of respect for the people here. And I want to thank you 3 and a lot of the people on the jury because you gave me a blessing in disguise. Going to exile in a split the second decision, coming back, all of these wonderful people, you took the situation right out of my hands. I never had to have the difficult situation that you all did here of having to write each other's names down. Honestly, that is a true blessing. I didn't get any blood on my hands, unlike a lot of people. That said, this merge, from what I've seen, has been a game of performing these expected actions, right? Where it just kind of makes sense. Vote after vote after vote. There's the right size threat that gets tossed out. I know it's never easy, but sitting back, it was very logical from a jury perspective to see exactly how the dominoes were falling, and they fell exactly that way. While some could call that a criticism of your game, I think to me, it's more putting all of your eggs in one basket right here, final tribal. So that I have a couple questions for you. Firstly, couple clarification questions. One, would you each please go in order, Austin, Maddie, Simmons, and explicitly state what advantages or idols you found? Start with you, Austin.
I found no advantages, no idols.
Cool. Maddie?
I sent my advantage to Simmons and he solved it. Or
Okay.
pardon me, he sent it in.
Okay. Simmons?
She sent me the clue that she couldn't solve, and I solved it and kind of snaked her and used it and got it for myself. It was the end the scramble advantage, where unfortunately our buddy Andrew went home, but it turned out to be quite the pivotal point in the game by getting both immunity idols out and not being able to be used at final 5, where I was vulnerable and probably would have went home.
And was that required to be played at 6?
I think the last one it could be at was 5.
Okay, so you did play it at 6 instead of 5. Okay, thank you. What I want to ask you is, in what ways did you respect the game by trying to make this fun? Starting with you, Austin.
My chaos brother. As we have pointed in the past from when we were talking about wrestling and just getting to know each other well, we decided to be both agents of chaos. And I think that there's a lot of ways that I made it chaotically fun. For the instance, you guys know how many times I have had to bring this bald cap out again. Like, this thing is old. I think it's got stuff in it. It's gross, but I put it on my head for the sake of you all. I used my sunglasses. I used my entertaining dance moves. I literally pointed at a thing at the TV and said, oh, look, there's a UFO on the TV. Because if we have this general knowledge of being like, it's nothing. I, for a moment, thought about wearing this. I did. So maybe that's against me that I didn't.
You would have got my vote if you hadn't, Maddie, or you would have got my vote if you did, Maddie.
Because I was playing a really under the radar game, it meant a lot of times I couldn't share my personality with the people that were around me. I had to play a little bit quieter, a little bit softer than who I am as a person. And so I hope when you go back and you watch my confessionals, it feels like a ride, because I was really, really, really leaning into the experience that I was having, the relationships that I was building. Simmons and I were sending draft logos of our alliance to each other in our chats. It was awesome. We'll send you all stickers later. And it was just a blast. I came to do this because me and my brother agree that we do the things that each other loves. And so this is new territory for me. And I just committed to doing everything I could, 100% of my effort, because you do it right or you don't do it at all. And so that's how I will showed up. And I hope you see that as well when you watch it back later.
Simmons?
Yeah, real quick, two kind of parts to that. I have to agree that I think when you watch this season back, you'll see some lively confessionals of me explaining that some of the mistakes people were making were rookie mistakes in an all-star season. I think as fans of Survivor, we all can agree when things go your way, it is such a beautiful game from start to finish. And I truly believe that the way that the things worked out, and unfortunately the way that you guys went home, was such a perfect way for me in the way that my game was played, that it was just beautiful and it made me appreciate the game more. I'm a new fan of Survivor. I haven't seen a ton of seasons, but I do know, like, early on in the game, when people make all these allies and alliances, they usually never make it to the end. This is the second game in a row I played, only 2 games, that the same people I was aligned with are sitting with me at the end. Unfortunately, I was booted out at Final 3 instead of Final 2 at Final Tribal Council, but nonetheless, it's been a lot of fun and it's been a hell of a ride.
Cool. Well, I don't have much time left, so I'm going to quick hammer out 2 quick things. One of them, my vote is completely still up for grabs. I'm hearing a lot of great things, but if push comes to shove, I'm going to go random, and I'm going to write down a number here between 1, 2, and 3, and we'll just go in order. Austin, what number you want? Number 1? You're on mute. 2. Simmons? I'm just going to order screen. All right. Maddie, you get 3. Is that cool? Last but not least, folks, I just want to say, Ashley had mentioned before an amazing organization called PFLAG that she had brought up, that, and I like to too, it's just near and dear to a lot of our hearts. It is an organization that supports LGBTQ youth there in Colorado, in that Aspen area, doing great work. And thank you for Ashley for bringing that attention. And it's just an amazing thing that you did. If anybody does want to donate still, I know a few of us have, pflagrfv.org, pflagrfv.org. Thank you all so much. Good luck.
And next, our third member of the jury, Miss Ashley, the floor is yours.
I have a couple questions, and there will be a little bit, I may be a little bit harsh, but I want to start by making it clear that that is not a knock on anyone personally, that is not a slight to anyone. I am not bitter, but I want to express my position as a juror. So for me, my pillar is I want to vote for someone who played an under the radar social game. I think that the social game, it's easy to look at someone being flashy, someone making a quote unquote big move. What isn't as apparent, and what I think is often undervalued, is the social game that is played behind the scenes and the connections that one makes that not everyone sees. So with that said, Austin, I think you played a wonderful game if you're looking to get my third place vote. You unfortunately didn't take a lot of opportunity to talk to me when we didn't have a ton of time, but when we did, you didn't take a lot of opportunity to talk to me. So today I am not going to ask you any questions. I don't need to hear anything from you. Simmons and Maddie, I would like to first know what social connections you had or you made in this game that no one or very few people knew about, and how did you use those social connections to advance you in this game?
Well, I think obviously some of the social connections that I've had have been made known. Obviously, Austin and Madeline were two of the biggest parts of my game. But besides those two, pre-merge, I had a very good relationship with Mike, as you guys probably know. But it was a relationship that I made with Karen on day one or day two, whatever that was, that actually really helped my game once I got to the merge. Karen and I really connected, and we both agreed that we both could be targets and thought of as big threats. So we might be good to stick together. And when I got to the merge, it actually kind of helped save me because I was able to kind of get in with Kylie a little bit and work a relationship with her, knowing that Karen was good with Kylie. Kylie was pretty good with Karen. There were some other relationships there with maybe yourself, Ashley, and others. But getting in good with Kylie while I have a little bit of something with Karen, I think went a long way, especially when Kylie and Lex went head to head there. I had an in with Kylie, at least more so than maybe some other people. And she was asking me, can you get Austin and Maddie to vote with me? And I said, I think I can do it. And that's what happened. And that's why Lex went home. Yeah, my relationship with Kylie was very important, and it flew under the radar. Obviously, I've known Zucker and Andrew from other seasons, and somehow that flew under the radar. Not a lot of people were talking about the Exile 4 that was even in the season. It was a big talk early on at our original tribe about, oh, we have 3 Trinity Falls people. We have to get one out. Kind of quit after that. And I think we did a pretty good job of keeping that socially low. But I definitely think my relationships with Karen and Kylie really propelled my game. And even though a couple of votes after Lex and Shea, Kylie came to me and said, hey, like, I'm good with you. Like, we're 100% good. Like, where do you want to vote? And so she came to me after I came to her. And I think that connection was extremely important for my game.
There's just 3 that I really want to talk about. And the reason I want to talk about them is they're all a little bit different. The first is Brittley from pre-merge. So I knew that I was in this triangle with Danny, Simmons, and Brittley, but I also knew and brought together a triangle of myself, Mike, and Brittley as well. And that allowed us in those first few votes to feel like we could move through confidently together. So I really pulled her in, and we built a genuine connection that I was really disappointed to see we could not foster on the other side of merge. The other one that I want to talk about is one that I had the hardest relationship to build, but I felt like I was trying and trying and trying. And I think it helped me in the end. And that's my relationship with Karen. Something with our schedules wasn't working. And I was just trying and trying to talk to her again and again and exchange some type of messages, some type of way for us to be able to work together. I know that we didn't get to work together, but I'm confident that because I didn't give up or let go of the opportunity and kept persisting, that it at least helped me as we're moving into the final 6. The last one I want to talk about is the relationship I had with you, Ashley. We had the most authentic, genuine conversation that night. We met together in the merge. I appreciated that you made space for me, knowing that I was coming in as a minority into the merge. And I really believe that that conversation that we had helped to secure your vote out of the game, because I know that when we came out of that challenge, it was me, you, Karen. We said we were going to vote not your way, and I feel like I helped you feel safe, and like that was the way that we were going. And so those are the 3 connections that I just come up for me when you talk about that.
Awesome. Thank you very much. I have one more question for the 2 of you. I would like to hear how, from 1 to 10, how you would grade your social game and how you would grade the social game of your fellow finalists. So since you went second, I'll let you go first this time, Maddie.
For myself, I would grade it as a 9 out of 10. And the reason I would do that is because I needed to depend on it, and I really worked it hard, but I also made some mistakes. I really, really did. I feel like Andrew, after one of the first tribals where you and I didn't get to connect, to me, that felt like a moment that I missed. And you called me out on it, to be very, very fair. And so you calling me out on it, I incredibly appreciate it, because that changed how I socialized after that tribal. I'd give Simmons an 8. I really think that he was good at driving conversations with the people he knew, but I think I was better driving them with the ones I didn't know. And I think he relied on relationships he had already and didn't feel the need to necessarily have to foster relationships with new people. Austin, I think it's a bit challenging because I think you had a lot of work and a lot of commitments. And so I'd say comparatively, I'd probably put you at a 6, and that's nothing for yourself. I know that every single person that I talked to who spoke to you had a really great conversation. I just think there wasn't enough space to be able for you to play more socially.
I would say I would also agree that Madeline's social game is probably a 9. I don't think anyone can say otherwise. I really don't. That's definitely the strong suit in her game. Listening to her talk right now, you can all hear it. She's very good. She's very good, and I give her all the credit in the world. As for myself, I equally give myself a 9, whether you guys might not believe so or not. Madeline just admitted that her and Andrew kind of missed the boat, and there's a reason why Madeline didn't get Andrew's vote anywhere down the stretch of the merge. I had a very good relationship with Andrew, and I used that to my advantage to help keep Madeline safe multiple times. So, I think that's a huge thing that flew under the radar. And I've reached out to pretty much every one of you at the merge, but I knew that my name was on the block. So I know you guys a lot of you weren't interested in talking to me. I tried to talk to Shea, Ashley, we kind of connected, Garsow a little bit, Zucker a little bit. But the fact of the matter is, at the merge, right off the bat, my name was on the block. And when your name is on the block, not a lot of people want to talk to you. But that really changed after that vote. So I think being able to hold my own there, I think it's hard to question that I'm sitting here not because of my social game. Austin, I think your social game went a little bit under the radar. I would give you at least a 7. I think you made really good connections with a lot of people over here, and that's a very big reason on why you didn't get that many votes coming into here. You did play a good social game.
Up next, we have Kylie.
Hello, Final Three, and congratulations. Once again, we are all very, very open and really listening to your questions, not just to our own individual question, but how you are answering everyone's questions. And I think one of the things that we kind of missed out of all 3 of you was there were opportunities during tribal councils where you could have really stood up and fought for yourself, but we feel a little bit like you missed the boat on that. And so we really want to see you fight for our votes. The thing for me that is kind of my pillar that I want to see from your games is intentionality. So I want to know from each of you, and we'll just go in alphabetical order because that's the easiest. What was the biggest challenge in getting to the final 3, and how did you overcome it?
Let's start off with the obvious. I was voted out first on my own tribe. I came back and I proved that I deserved to be here by literally scooping through the shit of everything that was the undertow of this game. I fought. I have the confidence. I have the ability. I want to build relationships with all of you. And I made moves that I normally wouldn't make for the sake of it. I normally am a very, very nice player. And I told myself, I can't win that way. I'm not going to win that way. So yes, unfortunately, there were stabs in the back for some of you. There were opportunities that I didn't make to connect because I knew they weren't going to work. It happened. When I talk about fight, being that I had played 2 games out of these and have gotten so close, and I was ready to give up this whole thing, I came back because I knew that someone who knew nothing about Survivor at all could actually beat all of you.
Okay, thank you. Maddie.
I really, really, really believe that the biggest challenge that I face, especially coming into this long game, was fighting off my own paranoia. I had to battle it day in, day out. My biggest fear coming into this is that I would be perceived as a gullible player, sweet, nice, easy to take advantage of. And so my whole fear in aligning with Simmons was that that was going to be what happened when I looked back on the tapes, that it was just easy to align with me and it would feel like I could be carried the whole way. And Mike played into that when he was trying to get me to flip to his side. And I just remember sitting there so torn, not sure what to do. What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? And fighting off this paranoia in this game has been the biggest challenge. And because I've stuck true to it, because I know that paranoia gets you more in this game than trust does on 9 times out of 10. All I was doing day in, day out was fighting through that. And that's how I got here. And that's really what I think the biggest challenge was.
Thank you. And Simmons?
I decided that I'm not going to sit here and downplay my game in the game that I think that I played and I know that I played. I believe that I played the best game out of everybody here. I believe that I had one of the biggest targets on my back from day one. There's not many people in this call, maybe 1 or 2, that can say that they finished in a higher placing than I have. I don't think there's anyone in here that can say that they won 4 individual immunity challenges on their previous season and came back and won 3 the next. I was a big target. It's obvious. I think downplaying the target that I was, trusting my allies, using my social game to my advantage, was something that I have to take credit for, because it could have been very easy for me to just lay down and die as like, oh, I'm the big threat. When you guys were all voted out, the first 3 or 4 votes of the merge, the whole tribal council was, oh, another big threat gone, another big player gone. What makes you guys a big player? Can we ask you those questions? You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's all perception. And I was okay with letting you guys be perceived as these big threats when I know that I'm one myself. My very first confessional out of the merge, I said to production, I said, if they let me get past here, I'm going to go on a run. The very next confessional, I said, they fucked up. I should be gone. I should have been gone. There's no reason for me to still be in that game. And I did. And that's why I'm sitting here right now.
Austin, you mentioned that you did not play nice in your opening statement. Can you tell me specifically how you did not play nice?
There were some individuals that I had brought relationships into the thing that I knew were not going to work in the long run. Shea, I love you to death, but I knew that it wasn't going to work. There was a chaos moment and I knew it wasn't going to happen. Ashley, we just didn't talk a lot and I wanted to change that, but it just didn't happen. The cards weren't in my deck. They just weren't in my deck. I'm sorry. And then you had Garsow. Buddy, I wanted you gone since you came in. It's just because I knew that you were a big challenge threat. And yes, I could have played nice and established a relationship with you, but I wanted to establish where my boundary lines were. And I knew that some of you are going to take that as sour. Let it be sour milk. But I know that a lot of you understand that this is Survivor. It is cutthroat. And sometimes you just have to be the villain.
Thank you. Simmons, what is one thing we don't know that you use to further your game?
I think the relationship I had with Karen from the very beginning was kind of important. We weren't super tight, but we did have a little bit of an agreement that we needed each other when we got to the merge. And I think that ultimately was a huge relationship that I made that kind of flew under the radar and was a big part of why I'm here.
Okay. And Maddie, in your opening statement, you talked a lot about your pre-merge game and, how you positioned yourself kind of between Mike and Simmons. How did you use your pre-merge game to further your post-merge game?
Yeah. And I think it comes back to the trust that I had built through the pre-merge game, knowing that we would have to make all of those split decisions along the way. The other thing that was really important, and it goes back to your previous question as well, is managing the paranoia. So I know everybody wanted to see a big move from me at the end of this game to show that, I got some chops too and can make some things happen. But in my mind, the biggest game move for me was having the confidence to sit next to these two and still believe that my game was just as valuable and if not more than the game that they played. And so I think that having restraint in moments where people are pressuring you to make certain decisions and to be flexible in ways that would not serve you well in this moment is the way that I moved through that post-merge game.
Okay, next, our challenge beast, Garsow, you're up.
The thing that I want to focus on the most here is growth. Honestly, like for me, I really wanted to improve upon my game and felt like I needed to prove myself coming into All Stars. So what I want to hear from all three of you individually is, how do you think you improved upon your game from the first DCP season you were in to All Stars? And then also within All Stars in general, like, was there any, missteps that you made? I want you to touch on like adaptability and like, where do you think you had the most growth?
For being able to adapt to a lot of things, you could argue that a lot of times I was viewed maybe as a chameleon, that I would go wherever the colors saw that we're bringing forward. However, I feel like when it came to growth, a lot of times in my past games, I would sit, I would listen, I would advance to see what is really going to happen, what I want to break that down into, and so forth and so forth. That wasn't happening this time. I knew for the fact that if I needed to secure my spot here, I needed to be the one to start throwing names out. Yes, it was putting my head out there, but I'd rather throw my head out into the fire and get burned than sit back and wait like a snake in the grass and wait to strike in that retrospective. So yes, like I said, in the retrospective of when Lex went home, I knew that Kylie said, hey, I have your vote. I'm going to be used, and whatever you want to do. And I feel like when I put Kylie's name out there, that is when I took my rightful spot. That is when I knew that I said, yes, everything that she was saying about Lex probably was true. And I knew that who's to say that she wouldn't have done the same thing. So I decided to cut everything off from the start. Everyone was like this. And I said, I would rather we vote Kylie. I think Kylie is the smart pick, because who's to say that's going to help us out in the long run? So adaptability, I would say for me, I would not sit. I would not I'd buy. I would take advantage, and I would make sure that people realize, because it's made a point so far from the other two that are next to me that, there's not a lot of my name being put into their mouths. And I understand that they had a 2 from the start. I want that to change. I want you guys to realize that who actually was the person somewhat pulling the strings in this. Because in my mind, that was the adaptability. I was a pawn. I consider myself to now be the king.
My first season was Sahara Dunes, if any of you had seen that one, and I got rocked out third. And I think that game really, really humbled me. I looked at that experience and realized a few things. Number one, that I don't have as good of a social game as I thought I did. I'm an incredibly introverted human who finds it really difficult to make connections without a lot of anxiety and stress. And so I knew coming into this, especially given that the mini was way too fast paced for the amount of decision-making time that I needed to have, that was something I would need to shore up and lean into as I came into this. And it was very, very nerve-wracking. You come in as a early boot player, and it's a vulnerable place to put in. I'm in the company of all-stars, of people who have made their way to their top at all their games, and to be able to hold your own and not feel super threatened by that is a really big accomplishment. And the other thing that I took away from my season, and I felt was really tricky about leaving my season, is I got rocked out because I was really loyal to the person I was working with. And so when I came into this game, I had to decide, would I have made the same decision if I was placed in the same scenario or a similar scenario? Was a loyal game the one that I wanted to play? And so what I decided was that even though that was the reason that I was booted out of the last one, to me, that felt like the most authentic game that I could play. And I knew that in order to get here, I needed to play something that felt real and that felt honest. And so that's what I leaned into. So bit of growth on the introversion side, and then a bit of holding my own on the on what I believe is a good way for me to play.
So adapting from my last season, I think I've gone on record saying multiple times after Exile Island, I never plan to play again. Never, not one time. I finished 3rd place. I got voted out at final tribal council in front of everybody because they didn't want to take me to the end. I'm here to change that. I came back to win this game. There's no other reason why. I don't really enjoy playing the game. It sucks half the time. It's miserable, but I came back because I wanted to win. That's the only thing I could have done better. I wanted to win. And to do that, I had to kind of maneuver a little bit differently. I learned a lot from my last game. Guys like John Millsip, Lauren Pratt, Greg, these big threats that everyone kind of hoisted up during our Exile Island game. I learned from that. People go after those people. You have to be the ones below that to be able to win the game. You can't be the people. Unfortunately, you can't be Lex. You can't be Kylie. You couldn't be Shea in this game specifically, where you're up here, you know, and everyone just looks at you. Everyone's looking up at you guys. It's hard to win that way. It's very hard. And that's how I adapted. And I learned from previous games and previous mistakes of other people to be here. It's no surprise that I mentioned I was 100% in with Austin. I was 100% in with Maddie. I was 100% in with Andrew. But Austin and Maddie, their only connection to each other was me. The only connection Madeline and Andrew had was me. That's my social game. And that was the adaptability that I had to have. Andrew and Austin were unsure about Maddie pre-merge. I made them feel good about it. I said, oh, I think we can work with it. Maddie was unsure that Austin and Andrew liked her. I made her feel comfortable with it. I was the one that kept us together. And that was the adaptability of the game that I played.
Yeah. Okay. Awesome. Thanks for the answers, guys. I just want to wrap it up by saying I am absolutely not bitter in any way. You all three killed it. You played a great game. Obviously made it there for a reason. And I just want to say like one thing about each of you. Austin, congrats on making it to the end. You did what I couldn't as fellow first boot, hell of an underdog story. And Simmons, I mean, you killed it. Challenge beast, you avoided the target when I couldn't. And Maddie, I definitely relate to you in the sense that I'm very much an introvert as well. And you played a hell of a social game. So good luck, everybody. And I look forward to voting for a winner.
Okay, up next, we have Andrew, the victim of our very first advantage get-in.
Austin, we'll start with you. And Shea, you can answer this question on if it's right or not. Okay? Austin, who's Shea's favorite wrestler?
Shea's favorite wrestler, in my honest opinion, I would have to say The Rock.
Shea, comment. Okay, all right. I'm not usually a selfish person, but today I'm feeling like it because I didn't get voted out. I want everyone to close their eyes, and I'm going to ask you a question. It's not about who's going to vote or whatever. Just close your eyes. Close your eyes. In your head, just raise up a number 1 through 5. In your head, at what place was I going to finish in this game? Okay. You can put your hands down. Put your hands down. Open your eyes. Open your eyes. The three of you, just you don't have to explain. Just one name. Who should be sitting at the end, and who would you take out of the end? And that's it.
Out of the three of us, you mean, correct?
Yes. Who would you take out, and who would you replace from the jury?
I would replace Maddie, and I would replace her with Lex.
I would replace Austin with Karen.
I would replace Austin with Andrew.
Cool. Good luck, y'all.
The original winner of DCP. Karen, the floor is yours.
We can start with Simmons. I noticed at one point you said that you noticed there were a lot of rookie mistakes people were making in an all-stars game. I would like to hear an example, if you can think of one or two or three.
I can think of two right off the bat that came into my head. One was pre-merge with Mike. He just got caught up in a couple of things. And I know Madeline kind of used that to her advantage here, but he got caught doing trying to play ball a little bit too early. He was pretty much safe, at least in his perspective, and what Austin and I were maybe thinking. Big rookie mistake. He got caught in a classic twisted of words. But also when we got to the merge, I mean, I don't know what you guys were doing. You had the numbers. I was the easy vote. There was no reason why I shouldn't have been voted. Like, I mean, and then Lex and Kylie just started going at it. Like, that shouldn't have happened. And that's why I kind of used my excuse of like my previous game when we had someone like John and Lauren, these two big threats that everyone was like, holy shit, we got to get them out. That's what you guys just did for me. And you gave me an inch and I took it a mile. So that's one of the first things that popped in my head is, that's they gave me an opportunity when I probably shouldn't have had one.
All right, I'll move on to Maddie. I thought it was interesting that you said you kept trying and trying and trying to build a relationship with me, because I felt when we were on the first tribe that you froze me out. You left me on red for hours and hours and hours. And I just felt that you had zero interest in working with me. And I don't know, like we just weren't on the same sides really. So I can't like get on you too much about that. But I feel that we could have been great together. Last night, I just took a moment to like look you up a little bit because we had a little spare time. And like I messaged you and said, I like took a look at your blog, and the blog content is not relevant, but I think you're like a beautiful person. And I wish we would have been able to get to know each other better, because I think my fate would have been the same no matter what. But I just want to say that I wish we would have had more of a chance to get to know each other. Austin comes in and saying that he's like throwing out names or whatever. And that is true. I do feel Austin was the driving force on the Ashley and Kylie votes because he was going hardcore in the rooms. But I do want to say that Maddie would not have been able to play like that way. Like, I personally believe women in Survivor cannot play that way. If Maddie had come into those rooms throwing out names the way Austin did, she would have been out so fast. And I'm not advocating for one person over the other, but you can't like say, well, oh, Maddie wasn't aggressive enough, when women just can't play that way. And we can have that conversation another time, but it's just a fact. Okay. Austin, yes, appreciate your fire. Like your passion. And like I said, you were the driving force, I think, in a couple of votes. Some advice, I think you should watch some Survivor. You say you've only watched 4 episodes. You have played 3 games now and you've gotten far in all of them. And I think with just a little bit of homework, you would be our winner today. Maybe you will still be our winner. I thought, honestly, going into this, I thought Maddie was just along for the ride. And Austin, I know you're sick of being along for the ride. So I could see that you were trying to take control. And also, Simmons, your game is more intentional than I realized. I also thought maybe you were just along for the ride. And while our game relationship was mutually beneficial, and I feel there was, I don't know, I just, up to a certain point, it was good. We were never like, sending logos for our alliance either. So that, I think, speaks to Maddie's social game. I've played lots of games where I have to, like, I play under the radar or whatever, and I have really strong relationships with certain people. And so I can see that in Maddie, which I think is a great thing. You can't be like best buds with everyone. But just to see that you actually did have those really strong relationships and you're in the final 3 with those people, I think speaks a lot to Maddie's game. But also, Simmons, you positioned yourself socially pretty well too. So I still don't know what I'm going to do.
All right. Our final juror, Michael Zucker.
All right. Well, I'd just like to say, as everyone has alluded to, again, congratulations to all 3 of you. You obviously did something right to get to the end of this game, especially in a high caliber season as we're in DCP All-Stars. So first and foremost, again, congratulations. My first question is kind of based off of my personal kind of strategy and philosophy for how I wanted to play this game. And that was to be very flexible, very fluid with not committing myself and not limiting my options, right? Depending on the people I spoke to and the groups that I formed, I wanted to have that ability to intentionally maneuver, not just reaction as a reaction, but intentionally maneuver to not have ultimately myself be the target. So my first question to all three of you is, how did you implement that level of flexibility and maneuverability throughout the game? And based off of that, not just the moves and decisions you made, but the timing of those decisions, because I think that's also a big thing in the game, is not just being the most social, being the most strategic or physical. It's doing those things in all facets when they're right, when the timing for them is most appropriate. So again, just to recap, how did you implement the flexibility to maneuver throughout the game? And what was the time, like what was the reasoning behind your timing for all the decisions you feel like you made throughout the game? So let's start with Maddie.
Yeah, so from a flexibility perspective, when I think about our alliance, I believed in some world that maybe we'd get to the end together, but for the most part, I was going to stay strong, but I didn't think moving forward with these two threats that they would get there. And so I was trying to play flexibly post-merge to allow me to still have options because I was flying under the radar a bit, maybe not 100%, but enough that I could still build relationships and I wouldn't get iced out of conversations. And those doors were still open for me if I was going to need to pull on them later. I feel like I had really great conversation with Kylie and Ashley. After that, I knew based on my conversation with Lex and learning everything that he shared about that tribe, that those were who were running the show. And I was ready to move over there until you all opened up and started to be very flexible yourselves. And so that timing for me was positioning me well there. And then again, the timing pre-merge for me was the mic decision. I surfaced all of it as soon as possible. For me, I had 2 votes that I could surface it for, the first one or the second one, when I'm starting to think about it or when I know I'm going to be in danger. And because I knew that those 3 guys were working close together, that it was not going to be a quick flip to decide that they wanted to work with me. There needed to be time for them to digest it, to sort out their options, for me to share more, for them to feel comfortable, for me to plead my case on why it made the most sense. And to their credit, they did choose that. But I think it was the right choice objectively as well. So I really put in the work and said it early before Mike could use it against me in the moment where we were deciding what we were going to do going into merge.
Okay, thank you very much. Austin.
So flexibility comes back to me when it comes to past relationships. It's no secret that Zucker and Andrew and Mike next to me have played in Exile. I knew that at some point I wanted to play up the relationship that yes, there would be a Final Four in Exile strong. And I knew that I was a major part of how you exited your Exile vote, Zucker. So I used that to my advantage. I played into it that I would be like, okay, this is going to work, where I'm going to tell him, like, I'm going to play the sad sob story of why I did what I had to do. And it ended up, no secret, it ended up biting us all in the ass anyway. So, but I played that to my role. I said I wasn't going to be a person that's going to want to dismiss you right away. And that worked the same with Andrew. And also it worked with a little bit of a relationship with Karen for when we played in Yasawa. And then also I played where again, it just sucks that some of the other relationships that they weren't meant to come into play. I wanted to, but it just it wasn't good for my game. It just was not. I knew that I was going to be on the way other side of every other possibility. When it comes to the second part of your question, Zucker, I knew immediately it had to be the Kylie vote, because everyone was throwing out different names. And I said, this isn't the way we need to go. We need to vote Kylie out. She is a strong challenge beast mama that I know I'm not going to be able to. Hey, I'll say it here. You're a hell of a player, Kylie, honestly. So I knew that right away. There was no way that I was going to be able to have as much of a strong connection and social presence and even a game presence had you been in. So I convinced everyone, and especially with everyone else, you know, in this alliance, always asking me like, what's the plan? What's the vote? And I'm always the one that throws it out. So
Thank you.
Heads, but I mean, yeah. But,
all right. And Simmons.
I wonder why that was. Along with what Karen said, Maddie could not be the one to lead the charge. I could not be the one to throw everyone's name out. I would have ended up the same way that Lex did. There's no way I wouldn't have been the same as Lex or Kylie. If I ran into every single mini break room and I said, hey, we're voting out Kylie, we're voting out Karen, we're voting out Shea. I couldn't do that. I didn't have the luxury of doing that. I was already a target. I had to lay below the line. So yeah, we're giving Austin a lot of credit here for being the one to throw the name out. But that was a part of the strategy that I'm sure Madeline had as well, that I had, that we could not be the ones to drive the vote every single time. Although I'm pretty sure Madeline would also agree that every single time the vote was obvious. There wasn't a lot of other ways to go. After Lex, obviously it was going to be Shea. After Shea, Kylie was the next biggest threat. I mean, that's just the obvious way that it was going to go. So throwing their names out isn't much of a surprise. And I don't think you can take that as your own move. In terms of timeliness, I know that was mentioned, along with flexibility, but, I shared this again, and I'm going to say it again because I wouldn't be sitting here without it. I used the advantage that Madeline sent to me that she couldn't solve. It was the end the scramble. If I did not play that end the scramble at final 6, when I won immunity, I would have gone home the next final tribal or the next tribal council. There were 2 idols that came out. If we went to tribal the next time with one of those idols, I went home. There's no question about it. I was getting idled out of the game. So using that advantage, the timeliness of it to know that, hey, I told myself, if I win immunity at final 6, I'm using this, seeing what happens. I can't go out in any kind of tie. It's the safest thing for me to do. So I think the timeliness there was really important, and it is the reason why I'm sitting here. There's no other way I would be sitting here. So
Thank you.
I hope that answered your question.
No, it did. Thank you. So I only have 2 minutes, and I did have a couple questions, but I'll ask the most important of the 2 in case timing is running out. The final 3, final 3, was at the final 4. Was this something that had been predetermined, or in your opinion, was I deemed too much of a threat to take to the end with you? So we'll start again with Maddie.
Yeah, it was predetermined, but it was predetermined for the reason that I believe if you had gone through, you would win. You faced a heck of a day yesterday. And I think it required so much calm, cool collection. We talked about that last night. The ability to remain that way under pressure was phenomenal. And I think everyone on the jury would agree with that. And then they would also say that you were the only one who could penetrate our alliance, and you would have taken it away and stolen it away. So I think all of us knew that we had a better chance sitting beside each other than sitting beside you. But yes, it was pre-planned.
Okay, very good. Austin.
Keep it short and sweet. It was pre-planned. This was one of the 3 that I wanted to do from the very beginning. So yes, the exile thing was cute while it was talked about, but this was what it was. So I know that it sucks, but that's what it.
And no hard feelings, by the way, on that. Lastly, Simmons.
Yeah, quickly, I will be honest. I thought about wanting to bring you to the finals with me. I was thinking about trying to get Maddie out. I have, but I think it would also ruin my game a little bit if I did not play the loyal game that I said I did and that I've done the whole time. So while I think you played a great game, Zucker, and I think it still would have been a fair fight at the tribal council, I don't know if you would have swept everybody. But it was just, I think, the better opportunity to display what happened here with the 3 of us here.
I appreciate all your answers. I speak, I think, for all of us, for answering as openly and honestly as you did. It certainly opened my eyes, and I came in with kind of a game plan of who I might want to vote for, and I have a lot to think about. I think we all do. And again, once again, congratulations, and it's been an absolute pleasure.
Jury, I just want to say thank you. You guys really put on an amazing final tribal council with lots of thought that went behind it. It was very evident. Thank you to the final 3 for your great responses. It's time to vote. It's time to vote for who you think is deserving of the title of Sole Survivor and the one that you think should be the representative of our season.
I think a couple of the people, 2 of the 3 playing, kind of discounted my vote. Apparently, it was Shea who got voted out, and then it went straight to Kylie. And so I'm going to take this opportunity as someone who got to vote first in my first season to vote for a production family member first, and then in my second season to vote for a production family member first, to get to finally vote for a production family member to win the game.
Ultimately, I am going to cast my vote for Simmons. I don't think the other three get there, or the other two get there, and they don't get there as a group of three if Simmons isn't there to kind of be the one that did bridge the gap.
I still couldn't really differentiate a lot of what happened there. And I feel like on one hand, you had some immunity wins for Simmons. You had some great social gameplay by Maddie. And in a true kind of fun fashion, I think for me in the season, in dynamic character productions, there's only one thing that happens when you have a tie, and you go to rocks. So I'm voting for Austin.
All right. We'll go get the votes.
I'm so excited for you guys.
Austin, Maddie, Simmons, and jury, from the bottom of all of our hearts, thank you for an excellent season of Survivor and for playing this game hard. No one besides this cast knows how much work it took to earn your spot here. We are looking forward to speaking with each of you in post-production and hope you all have found something here that makes your time worthwhile. Dynamic Character Productions is very lucky to have found you all, and we respect the games that each of you played. Seeing you all take the game seriously and building connections is a team high we will really never, ever get over.
Congratulations once again to our three finalists. No matter how many votes are in our urns with your names on them, you should be proud of yourselves. Speaking of the votes, let's see who the jury has crowned the winner of our All-Star season.
We'll read the votes. First vote. Maddie.
Simmons.
We are tied. 1 vote Maddie, 1 vote Simmons, 1 vote Austin.
Maddie.
Tied again. 2 votes Simmons, 2 votes Maddie, 1 vote Austin.
Simmons.
The winner of Survivor All-Stars, Simmons. Simmons, congratulations.
Holy shit. Thank you guys. Oh my God.
Anything that you would like to say?
I truly am thankful to have met each and every one of you. I had a blast playing this game. I mentioned before I was never going to play again, and I'm glad I decided to. Some of you guys I got to know better than others, but would like to open the door to meet all of you a little bit better and become friends. But truly, it means a lot. You guys are incredible at this game, and you all are big fans of Survivor. So it means a lot to me to have the respect that you guys have given me with the winner of this season. So truly, I really, really appreciate it. It means a lot.
Maddie, second place. Still an amazing run in this game. So if you'd like to say a few words.
Oh gosh, it was so awesome. Thank you guys so much. There's a lot of fear on my side coming into it. And I think, yeah, I would not stumble upon this community on my own. So it was just totally eye-opening for me to come in and just see all the good humans here. And, you know, I was sitting there thinking, oh gosh, I can be friends with these people afterwards. So it's such a special community, and thanks for just welcoming me into it. It was so lovely.
And Austin, our third place finisher, has been a tough game, an all-star game, and you deserve your placement. So if you'd like to say a few words.
I want to premise that while I might have played a villain role, that is nowhere near the personality that I perceive. I love all of you, and for the people that I, did not talk to, I'm sorry, and I would like to get to know all of you as much as I can. You people are amazing, and like I said, it was 51% of 51% of the coming into this, and 49% of not. So I'm happy that I did. I'm just happy to have made a final for once in my career. So thank you guys, everybody.